everybody, this is Jennifer. Welcome to my channel where I talk about books, music, movies, and anything that takes my fancy. Today I'm doing my slightly belated July wrap-up. So I have a lot of things to cover this month, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I read in July is Deadly Class Volume 3, The Snake Pit by Rick Remender. I gave this 4 stars. I really liked it. It was a step up from the second book, and it ended with another cliffhanger, which I'm gonna have to wait until like the end of August to read, unfortunately. But I'm really interested to see what happens. I thought it was pretty good. A lot of intrigue, and they're starting their final exam for the year, which in a school full of assassins it's gonna be fun. Alright, so yeah. Deadly Class Volume 3, 4 stars. The second book I finished was an audiobook that I got from the library, but that I ended up buying on Audible because I liked it that much, and I'm gonna give it a re-listen probably next year. It's The Silk Roads, A New History of the World by Peter Frankopan. 4 stars. I liked it a lot. The only thing that kept it from being like 5 stars was that it's the Silk Roads. I thought it would have more like China. I thought it'd have more India. It does not. It focuses mainly on the Middle East, which is fine. It's a bit fraught, but it's fine. And I really liked it. I thought it was really well written. Yeah. Really good. But, like I said, it's a bit heavy. So, up third is a new novella from my favorite series. Sorry, I don't know how good that is going to be to look at, but it is The Furthest Station by Ben Aaronovitch. Yeah, if you want the hardcover copy, it's about 25 bucks for a novella, but on Kindle, it's $5. Just in case you wanted it and you thought the hard copy was too expensive. But I have stuff from Subterranean Press by Poppy Z. Brite, and they're really good. If I could have afforded to get the one from Subterranean Press, I would have. But the Kindle, it's very good. Yeah, that got 5 stars for me because, well, it's my favorite series, and it does really good. They're ghosts on the tube. Anyway, and so the Folly has to investigate. I liked it a lot. And it's one of three Rivers of London books I read this month, and it got off to a really good start. So book number 4 was The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. It's your basic self-help book, except he wants you to get up at like 4:30 in the morning, which it's not happening. It's not happening. Even if I could, God bless people who can, but I don't want to be a person who gets up at 4:30 in the morning. Not unless I absolutely have to. And to be honest, it's not, besides that, it's pretty basic as far as self-help goes, with like affirmations and meditations and readings and writings and stuff. And to punctuate it, it's got like testimonials, like it was like reading an infomercial or one of those PBS station like fundraiser things. Anyway, so yeah, that got 2 stars. It didn't suck. It did not suck, but it wasn't that great. So, next up is my second 5-star book of the month. Give me just a second to bring this back up on my Kindle. Hold on, maybe we should try this. You know, the way the lighting is here, you really can't see it. Anyway, it is Auntie Mame by Patrick Dennis. So basically what this is about, this young boy, his dad passes away, and he becomes the ward of his dad's eccentric, probably maybe older, I don't know if he's older or... Anyway, he becomes the ward of his dad's sister, who's eccentric, and she's got money for a while. And Yeah, so his dad and the man he puts in charge of his like trust is really uptight, and Auntie Maeve's really like screwball. And then you have this boy who, my favorite part of this whole book was his voice. It's very ironic, it's very wry, and you can see the influence of his aunt and you can see the influence of his dad. It's not that big of a struggle because, you know, he's kind of forced to do things a certain way because of his trustee, and then he gets in all these adventures with his aunt. So it was so much fun. And yeah, oddly enough, Auntie Mame kind of reminded me of Mr. Bennet from Pride and Prejudice, which is so weird a little, because it's so weird a little. Yeah, I said that. Oops. Yeah, that's not getting edited out. Yeah, she kind of reminds me of, because she gets the job done, but just barely, and with a sense of humor that doesn't let her be like really, she's responsible, but she's not too responsible. Anyway, that was 5 stars and I really liked it. So up next was Sapiens, A Brief History of Mankind by Yuval Noah Harari. That got 3 stars. Lots of people like really love it and they rave about it, but I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was bad by any means, but I feel like it suffered for me having read it after the Silk Roads, because I don't feel it makes its case all that well. It's a very interesting read. He goes into this whole part about how wheat domesticated mankind instead of mankind domesticating wheat, which is awesome. And I thought it was really good, but it was just, it had a decent structure. I just don't think it was as well fleshed out as it could have been. But anyway, I still liked it and I gave it 3 stars. Next up is my second Rivers of London read. It's a listen. It's a Audible exclusive. It's like a 30-minute short story that takes place in a library. Excuse me. Yeah, it takes place in a library with this librarian who has some kind of history, and Harold Postmartin, who you would know if you had read the series. And it's really funny, and it's on Audible, so it's being read by Colmna Holbrook Smith, who is my favorite audiobook reader, and I love listening to these on audiobook. So yeah, that got 4 stars. It was really short. It's like 30 minutes, so I don't know that it could get like 5, but solid 4 stars. So next up, I read a book of poetry. Again with the bad. Anyway, maybe I should just stop showing these. Anyway, so it was called Dark Sparkler. It's by Amber Tamblyn, who is an actress. She just directed a movie based on the book Painted Black by Janet Fitch. And she's a poet. This is her 3rd book of poetry. And I liked it a lot. It got 4 stars. The way this is laid out is each poem has a name of a starlet who died untimely, or will have died untimely at some point. I got that tense all messed up, but I kind of did it on purpose, so we'll just leave it alone. And so, yeah, so there's one for Sharon Tate, and it's from the perspective of her. You know, she was pregnant when the Manson family pretty much massacred her. So that's in the voice of the unborn fetus. And so, yeah. And then there's this one about this girl who's trying to figure out what parts of her can go so she can make weight to be like a Hollywood starlet. And I liked them. I liked them a lot. I thought they really, you know, as a younger actress, you know, as somebody who was a former child star, she really knows, you know, she has an inside look as to how Hollywood treats young women and the things it can do to them. So I really thought this was well done. So number 9 was another audiobook. It was The View from the Cheap Seats by Neil Gaiman. Read by Neil Gaiman. It was so good. It got 4 stars from me. There are some parts that did not keep my interest the same way as the other ones did, but for the most part, like 70% of it, I was like riveted. That first part where basically what this is just like non-fiction selections. Like there is a foreword from an edition of Dog's Body by Diane Wynne Jones, which I really liked. Yeah, and like different speeches and stuff he's given. So it was really fun. And I love to hear, I love his narration. And the sections like where he's talking about his love of reading and some of the hijinks he got up to while he was in school and stuff. Those were really fun. A whole lot of it was fun. And yeah, I ended up giving it 4 stars. And oh yeah, Tori Amos shows up a couple of times. Alright, so number 10. This was my first Booktubeathon read. Yeah, it was my read a book in 1 day challenge. So it's The Art of Living by Epictetus. It was on audiobook. The basic premise of Epictetus was a Greek Stoic philosopher, and the main thesis of the book is achieving happiness and goodness in your life by focusing on the things that you have control of and not giving undue influence to the things you don't have control of. That is my very short synopsis of the book, and I liked it a lot. I gave it 4 stars. Next up was I have a book club that I belong to in the Central Florida area, and we read Nine Fox Gambit by Yoon Ha Lee. I gave that 4 stars. This takes place in like a sci-fi fantasy kind of future world where the system runs on this calendar thing where you have certain days where you make certain rituals and stuff, torture certain people, and that makes the society work. So yeah, so I gave that 4 stars. The first quarter, I think, went so slow and the chapters felt like really long. But they got to the point where the lead character, Kelch Harris, hooks up with this disgraced general for a battle with these heretics. And so it starts picking up. The world is really crazy, and I didn't quite get all of it, but the stuff I liked, the actual like plot points and the pacing after the first part, I really enjoyed, and I ended up giving it 4 stars, and I'm looking forward to reading the second one. So let's see. Oh, book number 12 was Movable Feast by Ernest Hemingway. I read a little because this book has like pictures in it, and then I listened to the audiobook. This got 4 stars from me. I thought the writing was good. It was not too long. It was an easy read. A little side note, if I had a time machine, I would go back to the time and the place where this thing was happening and throw F. Scott Fitzgerald off a balcony. he was really, really annoying. And I don't know. For a while, I think he was good friends with Ernest Hemingway, but I found him absolutely insufferable for like the whole chapter and a half he was there, to the point I want to go back and pass murder him. Anyway. Yeah. But it was a good book, and I liked it. It was 4 stars. Alright, so next up. Oh, I forgot to mention that The Movable Feast was my BookTubeathon pick for read a book with a person on the cover. And I completed that challenge. So, next up was The Call of the Wild by Jack London. Alright, so this was my BookTubeathon pick for read a book with a character who's very different from you, because the character is a dog. Yeah. And he gets kidnapped from his comfortable home in Santa Clara or something like that. Something like that. And it's cozy, and it's in California. And he gets traded to some people who want to go to Alaska to find gold. So this is Buck trying to get with the program in this new world he's in so he can survive. And survive he does. Sorry, I'm just like throwing the book at you again. Okay, so yeah. I really loved this. I gave it 5 stars. And me and Jack London, we get along real well, because I don't know if you remember last month I read The Sea Wolf by Jack London, and I read this month, and I'm picking a book by Jack London for next month, but we'll get to that in a different video. 5 stars, another BookTubeathon success. Alright, so, excuse me. Alright, so, next up was a reread. Another 5-star read of a book I love by an author I love. It was Liquor by Poppy Z. Brite. These 2 longtime friends, Ricky and G-Man, get fired from this job they have as line cooks for a tacky restaurant. So Ricky comes up with this idea for a restaurant with liquor in all the menu items. So this is basically them seeing Ricky's dream come to reality, and it's in New Orleans, and it's by a writer I love, so I loved it, and it got 5 stars. Awesome. Love those books. Alright, so next up was a comic book. I read this for the BookTubeathon. Sorry, somebody's got heavy feet in the apartment next door. Anyway, so yeah, this was issue number 2 in the Rivers of London detective stories. It got 4 stars from me. It would have gotten 5 stars, but it's really short and it's a comic book, and I don't know if I feel comfortable giving single issues of comic books 5 stars, especially, you know, the first part. The first part was okay. It wasn't great. But the end, oh my goodness. I don't know if any of you have actually read any of these, but something happens in the first book and it affects the character, and you get this character in flashback dealing with the aftermath of that. Darn near broke my heart and made me cry, but it didn't actually make me cry. It darn near made me cry, but so yeah, there were some feelings around this one, and I really liked it. So, and that was my 3rd Rivers of London thing this month. I don't usually have that many, but the comic books come out once a month, so there's one basically every month for that. Okay, so let's get to the 16th book I read, and the final, this was my BookTubeathon read a book entirely outside. Yes, I cheated, but it's hot in Florida, and frankly, I have hornets, so Well, I don't really have hornets, but there was one. Anyway, so I had to have something fast. So, okay, so my next BookTubeathon, this one was supposed to be my 7th book, you know, because it didn't fit any of the other challenges, because I didn't do the Rita Hyped book. I had The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet for that, but seriously, I was like, I couldn't take another science fiction after the Ian Hawley, so I just chilled with that. And let's see, what else did I not get with that? Oh, yeah. And I had picked New York Rocker by Gary Valentine as my cover book, but I did not finish that until last night, so this is going to be for next time. So yeah, that is basically the recap of my BookTubeathon. Except this one, because this was supposed to be my 7th book. It's The Club du Mans by Arturo Perez Reverte. Now, before I talk about this book, I want to make two points. One, I got the Audible version, which is abridged, so that might affect what I'm about to say here. And number 2, I by no means hated this book. I found it quite entertaining at times, but probably for reasons that the author did not intend. I don't know, maybe he did. I'm not in his head. He might have. But, oh my god, this book was dumb. This book was dumb. You know that line in the Rocky Horror Picture Show where Brad's like, this is probably some kind of hunting lodge for rich weirdos? That's not the exact line, but I'm paraphrasing. So many rich weirdos with too much time on too much money on their hands. Holy crap, you guys. A lot of obsession with Dumas, a lot of obsession with summoning Satan. And the writing was passable. There was a couple of parts where I'm like, that is the dumbest sentence. At one point he was like, Gruber bowed imperceptibly. You don't bow imperceptibly. You bow perceptibly or you're not bowing at all. So yeah, mini rant about language usage. And then the last 30 minutes, the guy who's been narrating for the first like 90% goes away. His part of the story goes away. So who's narrating the second part? Because if you've set something up where somebody's actually narrating and that person goes away, you need to set up something new with somebody else narrating, but I don't know. But the last part is this dude trying to open this gate to hell, and the main character, Corso, is like, give me my money. He's like, oh, hell, say, give me my money. Oh. No. It was dumb. And there's a sex scene. Holy crap, you guys. At first I was like, no. And then I was like laughing my butt off. Because most unintentionally hilarious sex scene ever. Anyway, so yeah. That got 2 stars. Like I said, I didn't hate it. Some parts of it I enjoyed immensely, but it was dumb. Alright, so yeah, that was all 16 books I read in July. I know this is a long video. I hope you make it through it. But if you don't, you know what? It still shows up as a view. Anyway. Okay, so yeah, that's all for July, as far as my books I read. And hopefully I'll have something for you soon about August. At the rate I'm going, who knows. But bye, thanks for stopping by. Have a nice weekend.